Coming to you live from the MediaPlex in downtown Windsor, this is a presentation of St. Clair College Journalism.
Good evening. I'm Jonathan Martin, and this is MediaPlex News Now. Hands-on learning is always fun, and Anur students get to put their hands on robots. Jeremy James reports.
After-school programs and tutoring are often forgotten as children grow up, but the stability and influence it provides will always stand out.
On a Wednesday afternoon after school, students at Anur Private School participate in the Sylvan Lego Robotics class as they build, learn, and play with the Lego pieces to build their robots.
I think the kids are really enjoying the program for the most part. Like, a lot of them enjoy building the robots together. They find it silly, they find it fun. Like, it's just an overall good experience.
Through Sylvan Learning, students get the opportunity to enjoy an after-school program while learning skills that will help them in the future and their community.
It's a really good way to have kids work together because like a big thing of robotics is to make sure always the kids always work together, always do one step at a time, so it helps build teamwork to make you realize that maybe if you don't know how to do something, maybe someone on your team does.
With at least 20 years under their belt, Sylvan Learning wants to make sure they provide tools for young students that will hopefully be employed in the near future.
Well, I think it's just 21st century skills that we're trying to encourage. These are jobs that these young children will have open to them.
Although open to students young and old, Sylvan Learning believes in developing children to further their knowledge and skill sets.
For Windsor and anywhere, it's great to keep a child occupied, busy with concepts that are going to help them become an influential person when they get older. And developing those skills to potentially become the next engineer, the next computer programmer. We're really excited about that.
Reporting to you from the MediaPlex, I'm Jeremy James.
Let's head down to the corner of University in Victoria, where Jillian Toman has an early look at our weather. Jillian?
Well, it's a chilly 5 degrees, but overnight we can expect partly cloudy with a low of 1. Tomorrow, look for a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 7. I'll be back later in the show with a special guest, and for more of your 3-day forecast, back to you, John.
Windsor has a new chief administrative officer. Former Treasurer Honorio Colucci took the reins last week, but he says the status quo will stay the same at City Hall. Sean Preble reports.
Is it that item?
Yes.
I would defer to the city engineer.
After 6.5 years, there's a familiar face taking over as the city's chief administrative officer. He's taken part in meetings, budgets, and more, and now former Treasurer Honorio Colucci is taking his seat as CAO. Employed by the city since 1984, Colucci has held several financial roles. He says his new job means new commitments.
You know, it's always that tough balance between maintaining tax rates and providing the services that the residents of Windsor expect.
Colucci took over the role April 1st from Helga Rydell, who is now CEO of Enwin Utilities. He plans to build on what Rydell started, but says he'll bring his own opinion to issues facing the city.
Everybody brings a little different outlook to a position, and I'm sure as time progresses, you'll see some slight changes.
After working with him for a decade, Mayor Judilkin says Colucci faces a challenge, but believes he'll continue to bring a strong voice.
He's got big shoes to fill, but he's got a bit of a different personality, so you'll see that come out in certain decision-making and the way he approaches things as well.
Councillor Bill Mara has worked with 4 CAOs since joining council. He says Colucci's reputation gives him respect at the table.
He's a man who's deemed to be a very ethical man, very values-based. He doesn't sugarcoat things. He's a very candid and honest man, full of integrity.
It was a short first meeting as CAO for Colucci, only 20 minutes, and he joked it was like a meeting on training wheels, but acknowledged next time would be different. Though he plans to stay the course Rydell started, it's likely many people will be watching to see how Colucci puts his stamp on the chair. For MediaPlex News, I'm Sean Preble.
Honorio Colucci was also Sean Preble's guest in studio in this edition of 3 Minutes With.
Hello, I'm Sean Preble, and I'm here with Honorio Colucci, the new Chief Administrative Officer for the City of Windsor. Thank you for joining us, Honorio.
No problem, Sean. Glad to be able to do it.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the new
Thank
position.
You.
Now, after 31 years in more financial type positions, why take on the CAO role?
Well, I think it was the next logical step for me. Over the last 6 or 7 years, I worked very closely with the outgoing CAO, Helga Rydell, and knew what the job entailed, had some interest in it, and was approached to see if I was interested in taking over for Helga. And after a short while to think about it, I thought this would be a great next step for my career.
Well, now that you've taken the position, what are you hoping to accomplish in your first year as CAO?
Well, as I mentioned, I work very closely with Ms. Rydell. I think the city is in really good shape these days, so I don't foresee dramatic changes. There may be a tweak here and there as things progress, but largely status quo for now. I think we want to continue to provide the best services we can for the residents at the cheapest possible price.
Now, I know that Mayor Drew Dilkins has said you have some big shoes to fill. Could you elaborate what you think he meant by that?
Well, I don't think he meant the part about the heels or anything. I really think, obviously, he meant that Helga had done a great job over the last 6 or 7 years as CAO. She's legendary around City Hall for her work ethic, fairness, and just the the proper management of the city. So clearly, definitely big shoes, but I'm willing to give it a try, and she's not too far if I need to reach out for something here and there.
How would you say you perhaps differ from Helga?
I'm not so sure that we're that much different in terms of our approach. We're both chartered accountants. We both worked in the financial area before moving up to the CAO's office. So I think generally we have very similar views on most things. I think going forward, that's one of the reasons I don't think we'll see dramatic changes.
Well, although you say you won't necessarily see dramatic changes, how are you still going to maybe put your stamp on the seat so people remember you as well?
Well, I think, my goal is to ensure that we deliver the best possible services to the residents at the cheapest possible price. Certainly I had a hand in that as part of my treasurer's job, but now it's a much broader role. So responsibilities for all the services at the city. And I think, my goal is just to provide the best services at the cheapest price.
What would you say you're most looking forward to with this position?
Well, I think, the broader scope of the position. There's a financial component to most issues, so I was in most issues even as a treasurer. But there are some things that don't have a significant financial component that now I'll be responsible for. So that part of it is appealing, something new, something to look at with a different set of eyes, perhaps. That's probably the one area I would say.
Are there any specific projects, perhaps, that you're taking a look into, or are just looking forward to tackling?
Well, I think for the first while, it's a bit of a learning curve, even though I worked closely with the previous CEO. We certainly have some interesting and challenging projects. The City Hall, the new City Hall project, is starting to take shape. So I look forward to that, to provide a new City Hall for the citizens of Windsor. But there's many issues in municipal government. It's never a dull moment. I think, as soon as we finish one thing, on to another. So look forward to the future in many ways.
Well, final question. I know earlier you did say the city looks to be in good shape, but could you elaborate on what shape our city is in?
Well, I think the last decade has been incredibly productive for the previous mayor, the current mayor, and the councils during that time. We have decreased our long-term debt from $230 million to less than $100 million. Our reserves have increased more than double. We have obtained a AA credit rating, which is a very strong credit rating. We've increased our capital expenditures on things like roads and sewers, in the last 10 years by a factor of 2. So clearly, I think much progress has been made. Our taxes used to be among the highest in the province. Now they're very competitive, in most cases below the provincial average for municipalities of our city. So lots of good things have happened over the last decade or so, and certainly hope to keep it going during my term.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Honorio.
No problem.
I'm Sean Preble, and we've just spent a few minutes with Honorio Colucci, the Chief Administrative Officer for the City of Windsor.
Now let's head back outside where Jillian Toman is standing by with a special guest. Jillian?
Thanks, Jonathan. Here with me is Pam Goldstein. She is the co-founder of Windsor's International Writers Conference, and she's here to tell us some more. Pam?
Hi, it's nice to see you. The Windsor International Writers Conference takes place May 5th to the 8th, and it is for writers of all kinds. You can be a professional or you have never written a word in your life, and you would still find a lot at the Writers Conference.
So who could we expect to see there?
You can expect to see a lot. We have agents and publishers from all over North America, some from New York, Virginia, California, Toronto. We have some of the best coming there. And our guest speakers are also from all over North America. We have Yale Strom, who is a professor of English in California. Lev Raphael teaches in Ann Arbor. And we have Tracy Beckerman, who writes a column for newspapers, over 450 of them in North America. So we just have the whole gamut, and everybody will love it.
That's really excellent. So do you need to be a writer or an author to attend?
You just have to be a writer in your heart. But professional writers will find a lot. It's honing the craft, it's learning the craft, and it's teaching you the tricks of the trade, and it's also teaching you how to be inspired and how to think a thought through to the final process of putting it down on paper.
And now in terms of fees, is there free workshops?
There are no free workshops because it costs a lot of money to bring these people in. But for an adult, it's a really good deal. It's $395. That includes all of your meals, and it's the pre-conference with the intensive roundtables for the more serious writers, and that's with just agents and publishers, and you present 5 pages of your work, and they critique it for you, all of them. And it's a fantastic experience. And the last conference, because of that, 4 people walked away with agents and have books out now. Then the rest of the conference, it starts officially on Friday. Friday night we have Tara Began's In Spirit, which is about the Indigenous women who are disappearing. So she's talking about divisive issues, but she's a playwright. So she talks about how you take the word of activities that are happening and put it to pen and show, and so you can show people what's happening and the tragedy of it. It's an amazing experience. You'd love it.
That sounds so excellent. Thank you so much for joining, Pam.
Okay, and my pleasure. We should just add that there are bursaries as well.
That's perfect. Thank you, and back to the studio, John.
French and Heinz have tomato lovers all in a frenzy, but as David Dyke reports, as far as Leamington is concerned, it's just good business.
The buzz over French's ketchup took over Leamington by storm, with several restaurants and stores offering the brand alongside their Heinz products. Since Heinz's closure in 2014, the town has been forced to forge a new identity, but that does not mean that it is no longer the tomato capital of Canada. For business in the town, it's not just ketchup, it's caught up in terms of economic stability. Companies like Thomas Canning Company have been using Leamington tomatoes a while now. Bill Thomas, the CEO of the company, said that Heinz's closing has helped the town to discover its own business legs in keeping itself afloat.
But there are other companies as well that were, and some like ourselves, that were able to pick up some of the slack. You know, I mean, it's not what Heinz was at one time yet, but I do think, you know, that we can carve out a piece and make a big difference. And in time, there's no reason why, if we start to look more global and look at export opportunities, that we can't grow sales and still keep this as fundamentally as a good tomato producing area.
With ketchup brands like Unico, Primo, and Hunt still operating out of the town, French's is not the only way to support local. Restaurants like Freddy's Cocktail Lounge and Bar are displaying their patriotism by using French's and Primo's ketchup in their restaurant. Owner Mike McLoof said the town is learning to band together and create a new identity of growth.
I support Heinz and I support Primo's, so again, and any other local product that I can get my hands on, we're definitely going to try and attempt to see if it works for us. Because supporting local is the key, whether it be French's, Primo's, Heinz, or whatever else in the case it may be.
It may be easy to bad talk Heinz since its closure in 2014, but many Heinz products are still made at Highbury Canco today, including canned pasta and tomato juice. For MediaPlex News, I'm David Dyke.
It was glitz and glamour and, of course, good food at the St. Clair Center for the Arts this past weekend. Noreen Ahmed reports.
The 26th Annual Gourmet Wine and Food Gala celebrated on April 8th at the St. Clair College Center for the Arts. This year's theme was aviation and tourism, called Leaving on a Jet Plane. More than 400 people attended the event. John Fairley, the vice president of the college, said the event is celebrating the accomplishments of the students.
Tonight we celebrate all of our students' accomplishments and what they've learned during the whole year at our 26th annual Food and Wine Gala. And it's all hosted by students, greeted by the students serve you, the students make the food, they entertain you. There's going to be music theater, singing, there's going to be fashion show from our fashion design. It is a complete package of what we do so well at St. Clair College.
He said this event is an annual year-end showcase event for the students of the program who host it, which is mainly the culinary and hospitality programs. They also received help from the tourism program. Alicia Tomalty, chef technologist at St. Clair College, explained which countries they were featuring on the menu.
So this year's theme for the gala is leaving on a jet plane. And so we were given carte blanche as to what countries we were allowed to feature on the menu. So we're going to be exploring cuisines from Denmark, Spain, Italy, Hawaii, and we're going to land in Canada to finish. It's 7 courses that we're doing throughout the evening. We're doing a salad that's going to be sort of specialized from Denmark with some wild gooseberries, a wild strawberry vinaigrette, and edible flowers. The second course is going to be a play on paella, which is a traditional Spanish dish that has rice and seafood in it. The third course is lasagna that's going to have black truffles sort of featured in it, and it's going to be served with a roasted Cornish hen.
All proceeds from the evening will benefit the tourism and travel, hospitality management, and the culinary management program at St. Clair College.
All the administration and everybody from the college just steps back and says, oh, wow. That's what tonight's all about.
This is Noreen Ahmed from MediaPlex News Now.
Mental health is a topic our high schools take very seriously. We sent Shelby Hernandez to bring us the details.
Teachers are trained to be educators, but oftentimes they find themselves playing the role of mom, dad, social worker, counselor.
Teachers and guidance counselors work hard to encourage school involvement and eliminating bullying, but staff are limited in how much they can help, especially with more severe mental health issues.
Public Relations Officer for the Greater Essex County District School Board, Scott Scantlebury, says that there are mental health nurses and psychologists available for students who need some help. However, they only provide help for short-term mental health issues, and some are only available on an all-call basis.
That is why Scantlebury says it is often up to teachers and guidance counselors to identify when they think they see a larger mental health problem. Teresa Piskovic at W.F. Herman Secondary School says staff always communicate with each other about the issues they may see. But the more important part is to know what role each person plays.
We have to be realistic about where our backgrounds and our expertise is, and be able to recognize when it's something that does really need something more than what could be provided by, a guidance counselor or a child and youth worker or someone in-house.
Scantlebury says mental illness in schools has definitely increased and more resources are needed.
It's got to be a cooperative effort, not just with the public sector in health and education, but the private sector as well.
According to Scantlebury, the Ministry of Education is hosting a mental health summit in April. He says the Greater Essex County District School Board will definitely be putting a team together to attend. For MediaPlex News, I'm Shelby Hernandez.
Back outside we go so Jillian Toman can fill us in on what we can expect for the rest of the week. What are we looking at, Jillian?
Thanks, Jonathan. Here's a fun weather fact. If the Earth were flat, water would cover everything in a layer 2 miles deep. Now let's turn to our 3-day forecast. Wednesday we'll see a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 7 and a low of 0. Thursday will be sunny with a high of 10 and low of 3. And Friday, now this is more like it, sunny with a high of 15 and a low of 6. That's all for you. Back to the studio. Jonathan?
Thank you, Jillian. Adventure Bay has some changes in store as far as their hours are concerned. I went over and checked it out myself. Windsor's $78 million aquatic complex isn't making enough money to keep its doors open. The complex is split into 2 sections, the Adventure Bay Family Water Park and the Windsor International Aquatic and Training Center. The Adventure Bay portion of the facility hasn't been seeing enough walk-in business to meet its operational costs. As of Monday, March 21st, Adventure Bay cut its hours by 25% to help reduce its losses. Jennifer Knights manages both Adventure Bay and the Aquatic Center.
Over March break, we were seeing in general between 1,400 and 1,600 people per day, which we like to see. Sometimes during the work week or the school week, we were seeing numbers of between 25 and 50 people in the water park, and certainly we need to have more than that.
Kim Geniak received an annual pass as a gift from her grandmother. The pass expired a few months ago, but Geniak says she has no plans of renewing it.
Maybe during the summer we might try and get out there, but so it's like we have our things that we're trying to save for, and I can take the kids on the bike path around here and get right to the Balmer Center in not a lot of time.
Knights says she's expecting many people to follow Geniak's plan. She's going to return Adventure Bay to its normal operating hours at the end of the school year. Until then, she says she's actively working on ways to add value to those who still have an annual pass. Adventure Bay is now open Thursday through Sunday. For MediaPlex News, I'm Jonathan Martin. Back outside one last time as Jillian has yet another guest who's stopped by the studio.
Sierra Bray is the president of St. Clair College PR Club and one of the organizers of the hashtag YQG Connect event. She's here to tell us more. Sierra?
How's it going, Jillian?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. The hashtag YQG Connect event is actually being planned by the second year public relations program, and it's being held at the Fogelar next Thursday, April 21st at 6 p.m.
That's excellent. So who can we expect to be there?
We can expect to be there public relations students, journalism students, students from the MediaPlex, community partners, as well as St. Clair College faculty.
And I'm sure some people are wondering, hashtag YQG.
Well, YQG is actually the letters that represent the Windsor Airport, and hashtag YQG is actually trending on Twitter. So we thought that to get the event trending, we would connect YQG within our event name.
And what are some of the students hoping for from this event?
I think the students are hoping to make some connections within the community. The event is all about networking, so we want the students to feel comfortable networking with community partners like Yvonne Pilon and Karen Mingay, who does work at Caesars Windsor. So it'll kind of bridge the gap from student to community partner and hopefully offer some opportunities after graduation.
That's great. So this is really sort of honing in on the PR program as well.
Absolutely. So the second year public relation program has a class, event management, and we're actually taught how to plan a proper event. So this event is actually for credit, which is great because once we go out into the real world, we will actually be able to execute an event.
So how can some students prepare for networking at this event?
Well, we do encourage you to bring some business cards and put your game face on because we have a lot of exciting activities and games. But if you don't have business cards, don't worry. We actually have some business cards for you that you can fill out and just get ready to shake some hands and meet some really cool people.
That's great. And what would you advise students who have never come out to an event like this?
I would suggest to be open-minded. It is a little nerve-wracking meeting different people and people that have many years of experience working in the community. So just have an open mind and be ready to talk to people. And like I said, bring some business cards and shake some hands.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining Sierra.
Thank you so much for having me, Jillian.
Now back to you in the studio, Jonathan.
Thank you very much, Jillian. Very interesting. If you needed a new set of wheels, the police auction was the place to be. Cameron Chaussee explains.
Get a one, give the one. I got 9, look for 1. 9 good, 100, someone give the 1. 100, 110, 110, 110, 120.
These were the sounds that filled the air on Saturday morning when the Windsor Police Service held an auction at the Teutonia Club. Saturday's auction was also the last to be held at the Teutonia after the facility recently announced it was closing its doors. Auctioneer Richard Lavin was optimistic that the day would be a success.
The room is pretty well full. We've always had good turnouts here at the police auction. I think that the prices are going to be real good today. A lot of good bikes, a lot of new bikes actually that are coming in.
These auctions are held once or twice a year and typically feature lost or stolen but unclaimed property. Proceeds go to Crime Stoppers or other police expenses.
So it's a really important day for us. I mean, we do the best we can at trying to find the rightful owner of all this property, but at the end of the day, that doesn't always happen, unfortunately.
Over 70 lots were featured at the auction, with contents ranging from old VCRs to lawnmowers to a pool vacuum. Over 120 bicycles were also put up for auction, drawing quite a bit of interest from the crowd.
I ended up getting a couple of bikes. I texted my son, he's in school right now. He says, yeah, see if you can get me one. So I ended up getting him one as well.
So while not everyone who attended the auction went home lucky, everyone present could hear those 3 fantastic words.
You got it.
This is Cameron Chauncey for MediaPlex News.
The YMCA has snatched itself up some new digs, and we sent Alex Latramoy to check them out.
Construction on the YMCA's new athletic facility is well underway. Located on Central Avenue, the multi-million-dollar building will include a pool, indoor turf, and batting cages, and will replace the area's ice park. The Y's general manager, Andy Sullivan, said they're relocating because demand for their downtown athletic center has diminished.
It wasn't sustainable for us to be downtown anymore. So, we really looked at things, and the fitness side of things was really suffering, and we weren't making the impact in the community as much as we wanted to.
However, according to Jackie Rumiel, the VP of Newcomer and Community Services at the Y, only the athletic services will be moving to Central.
Our newcomer programs will be remaining at 500 Victoria, downtown Windsor. We really feel that this is where the newcomers are, and this is where the services need to remain. So we will continue to offer our English classes each day, Monday through Friday, and we will also be offering our settlement program and our youth programs. So they will both be down here as well.
For those who just want to spend more time at the gym, not to worry. With a grand opening set for early September, the Y will be back. For MediaPlex News, I'm Alex Latramoy.
Thanks for tuning in. For the last time in this studio, I'm Jonathan Martin, and this has been MediaPlex News Now.
MediaPlex News Now is a production of the St. Clair College Journalism Program.
I think it's so important to be taught by industry professionals because they know what they're doing. And they're not just teaching because they read it in a book somewhere. They're teaching because they've lived it. I choose to take control of my future, and my path is St. Clair College. I choose to be here.